Hello everyone, it's Akunna from Greenlocks and welcome to another episode of Toolkit Tuesday, where we provide you with the tools to empower you to live a life that is fulfilling and impactful. So, I was recently asked to write an article to my younger self for an organization I'm a part of. This article was to be published in the newsletter and would be disseminated amongst its members. When I saw the email, my immediate thought was, oh no, I'm not doing that. I could actually remember how it felt in my body. My stomach immediately contorted and I could feel my insides squeeze and revolt at the idea of what I was going to say to my younger self. It immediately brought back some very painful and difficult experiences I had during my schooling years. I immediately saw that 16-year-old girl again and I honestly didn't know what I was going to say to her. I responded that I would write the letter, but deep down, I had no intentions of doing so. My plan was to let the due date pass and make up an excuse and say it completely slipped my mind and get out of it. To be honest, I was too scared to be that vulnerable to share a part of myself with others, even though I knew the intention was to motivate other young women. But sometimes when you are being called to do something courageous, it often seems terrifying and requires one to be vulnerable. Anyway, long story short, I did build the courage to write the letter, and to be honest, it was the best thing I could give to my inner child, as it was very, very cathartic. And so, the next tool in your toolkit to empower you to live a life that is fulfilling and impactful is this: practice courage. Yes, build your courage muscle, even in the littlest of things. Did you notice I said practice? Yes, practice. Courage is about practice because it's a habit. So the more often you practice it, the stronger it gets. The same way you do certain exercises regularly to build your muscles is the same way courage works. I know for many of us, we have been conditioned to think that courage is only in the big things. It is often associated with the heroics and only seen in those monumental moments. But have you ever stopped to wonder about the everyday courageous acts that are often asked of us? The call to speak up in a meeting and share your own opinion, even if it is different from others. Or the courage to set boundaries in your friendships. Or even the courage to say no to a request. See what I mean? The call is in our everyday existence. And yet, sometimes we think that the ability to be courageous is for someone else. Someone who isn't fearful and can take the risk. That isn't true. As human beings, yes, we need a certain level of fear for survival and protection purposes. However, when fear becomes paralyzing, then it becomes an issue. The fear of what might happen or making the wrong decision, for example, can cause nothing to happen in your life. And this, for example, is where everyday courage is needed. The more you use that muscle, the easier it becomes at taking those very big steps, such as the courage to try something new, which is often scary and filled with uncertainty. So I know I'm talking a lot about courage, but really, what are the benefits of practicing everyday courage? Well, for one, it is fulfilling. You know the feeling you get when you've stepped out of your comfort zone and done something that you otherwise wouldn't do? There's a sense of fulfillment that comes with it. And so it's a great way to experience personal growth, which is an important factor for living a happy life. Of course, being courageous isn't about pretending that bad things don't happen or that real risks are all in our head. Far from it. It's about choosing to lay our vulnerability on the line for something greater than our pride, risking failure and rejection in order to pursue our greatest aspirations and create more meaningful and impactful lives. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis, which I absolutely love, and it's this. He says, "Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point." Which means, in order to practice any virtue, courage is a necessity. To be patient requires one to be courageous. To love requires courage. To accomplish practically anything in life requires courage. And so this tells us that it's a skill and a habit which we can grow and develop to help us achieve what matters most to us. And so, if courage is a habit, How can I start engaging with it more often in order to strengthen my courage muscles? A great way is to begin to notice those daily calls to courage through a self-reflection activity. We're sometimes unaware of the daily acts of courage that we are being called to do, and so it's important to begin to notice those in order to take action. So here's how you do it. Stop 2 to 3 times per day, potentially at lunchtime or in the evening or any other time that best suits you, and notice what has been happening by reflecting on the following questions. What is it that I wanted to stop or start thinking, feeling, doing, or saying, and why? Now jot down notes during the day to help you notice the patterns. In the evening, spend 5 minutes reflecting on, those questions by asking yourself the following. What got in the way of me being courageous? And what will I do differently next time? So that's part 1 of the exercise. Part 2 is this. Now that you're aware of the acts of courage that you need to take, you can use the following tool to help you begin to take action. This tool was developed by Dr. Margie Worrell and it's called Train the Brave. Here's how it works. Step 1, write down a specific goal you would like to achieve in the next month or 3 to 6 months, for example. You already have those items that you've recorded from part 1 of the exercise, so select one of the items which causes the most dissatisfaction, that you feel most scared about, and that will push you out of your comfort zone. Step 2, identify your deepest fear as it relates to this goal. In other words, write down what you're afraid might happen if you take action towards your goal. Be brutally honest with yourself. Step 3, be honest about the cost of inaction. Write down how you will feel about yourself if you do absolutely nothing. Remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And again, be brutally honest. Step 4, break your vision into small steps. Write down 10 things you can do in the next 7 days to move you into action, and then repeat that weekly. Step 5, ask at least one person to hold you accountable for the 10 things you've written down and set up a weekly call with them to check in. Step 6, train the brave daily. Set yourself up for success by doing whatever it takes to stay in action. Perhaps have a visual aid where you can notice the daily steps and reward yourself weekly as a way to encourage yourself to continue. And so, there you have it. A great tool to help you build your everyday courage muscle. If you want to know more about this incredible yet important tool to help you live a fulfilling and impactful life, you can watch the Netflix special of Brené Brown's documentary entitled The Call to Courage, as well as the TEDx talk by Cindy Solomon entitled How to Build Your Courage. So remember, everyday courage is creating change in your life. This is often painful and hard, but so worthwhile and fulfilling. As always, I'd love to hear from you. What act of everyday courage is being asked of you today? What will you do daily to serve as a reminder and keep you on track as you build your courage muscle and at the same time take action? How did being courageous aid you in living a fulfilling and impactful life? As always, please leave your comments and questions in the comment section below and send it to info@greynox.com. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Toolkit Tuesday. Remember, you are worthy of a life that is fulfilling and impactful. And so, be who you are and be that well. Until next time, take care. Ciao!